Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? My name is Kent. Channel is EOS San Diego. And of course, I talk about the blockchain every single evening. Almost every single evening. Last night, I got a little bit late with the upload. And when I get up late with the upload, it's not because I don't make a video and I don't try to upload. It's usually because something's going on with Google and the video just doesn't upload very quickly, which is what happened last night. So anyway, I'll try to make the videos earlier so we can get them up quicker, so I won't have a time delay from when I make the video and the videos being able to be viewed. But what I want to talk about tonight is I want to talk about the EOS Strategic Plan. One of the things about the Block 1 announcement was it wasn't only the voice announcement, it was also their strategic plans for the future and what their direction for EOS is. And that's very, very important because that kind of gives you some idea of what their plans are and what they're going to do. And I'm going to put a link to it below. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this because this was something I was interested in too. Dan Larimer talked about a 5-year strategy or a 5-year plan. I think it was 5 years, maybe it wasn't, but a strategic plan. I mean, some sort of goals and some sort of vision for the future. And I read through it, and it's pretty technical. I mean, it's pretty difficult to. Some of the stuff is pretty over my head even. And I've been around for a long time, and I've been through a lot of this stuff. We're in development, and some of the stuff that is talked about in this strategic plan is a little bit more than I can understand. When I'm making a video every single night, and we're building on the blockchain, and we're block producers, and I can't understand it. It's probably pretty hard to understand for most other people too. This is when it would be nice to have Brock Pierce around, because Brock Pierce could take the technical, smooth it out, and make it understandable. And that's what needs to be. What needs to be happen right now. We need to have somebody take some of this information that a lot of people have a hard time understanding. Because, I mean, not everybody's going to stand WASMs and scalability and interchain communication, and they're just not going to understand that stuff. And when you put it into a strategic plan, it's difficult for people to get it, to understand. I mean, and the integration of other languages and the use of JavaScript and Node.js and all the other stuff that's part of this. I mean, you have to be able to put this in an understandable way. I think if EOS suffers from one thing, they suffer from this being able to completely, or people get their minds around what's going on here, because it is a little bit hard to understand sometimes. So anyway, I think that would be one of the nice things that could happen. Like I said, it'd be nice if Brock Pierce is back. Brock Pierce can make this stuff all a lot simpler for all of us. Make it a lot easier for all of us. But, and I always tell my story, so I'll tell a story. When I was a young broker, a long time ago, the reason I tell these stories is because a lot of the people that are in the stories that I'm telling probably aren't around anymore, because I was in my 20s and they were probably in their 40s. So that means they'd probably be in their 80s today. So they'd be old people. And I doubt that they care about my stories, especially because most of them are true anyway, so who cares? So anyway, when I was a young broker, very first deal, very first stock I got involved with trying to help get investments for was a company that had a touch-sensitive computer screen. And I think I've talked about it before. It's called Touch Dialogues. Well, it was a really innovative idea. And of course, the touch-sensitive computer screen had many uses even back then. Nobody wanted to learn keystrokes for a computer, so touch-sensitive screen was a great idea. And of course, this company was at the cutting edge of all that. The president of the company was a guy by the name of, or CEO, founder, president, whatever you want to call him, like a guy by the name of Paul Knight. He was a very intelligent guy. He's a tall, slender man. Very, very well spoken. I think it was a PhD engineer, very technical guy. He would get up in front of a group of guys like me, young broker, who I was more interested in hitting the bar and having a little bit of fun afterwards. And I was listening to a technical speech on computer software, or on, how this computer software technology worked. I could care less. All I wanted to do is give me some quick catchphrases, get out there and start selling the thing. I wasn't going to educate the people on how the touch-sensitive screen worked, and I wasn't going to educate anybody on, computer systems and technical stuff. I wasn't a PhD in electrical engineering. I didn't know any of that stuff. I didn't care about any of that stuff. Neither did any of the rest of us. So we have to get up and we have to listen to Paul Knight talk go to a due diligence. Basically, a due diligence is just a party. You get the guys up there, they get to talking, and they tell you about this. They give you a story. They tell you the story of what it is that they're doing. And then you take that story, you take it back to your clients, and you try to get them to invest. So you got to have some quick way of getting this to people in a way they can understand and manage and get excited about. Paul Knight was the worst guy in the world for that, man. By the time you got through listening to this guy, you were falling asleep. You weren't excited about going out and getting something done and getting people involved and excited. That's why I played the Steve Ballmer video yesterday, where he gets up and goes, developers, 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 developers. That's what people want to hear. They want to hear something quick, understandable, exciting, something they get, something fast. And I'm sorry, that's just the world we live in. The technical stuff is very difficult. It's going to slow people down. They're going to have a problem with it, and it's going to keep them from getting involved. So there's got to be a way to get this stuff into quick, manageable bite sizes so people can understand it and be involved with it because they get it. Nobody's going to understand all the other stuff. Nobody's going to understand all the technical sides of the smart contracts and C++ and all that stuff. Very few people are going to understand that. And believe me, very few people do understand that. More and more probably every day, but the ability to understand both all the moving parts here, and believe me, we're going through it. By building an application, by knowing people that know the front end, knowing people that know the blockchain, knowing people that can write smart contracts, knowing how all that fits together. So many people it takes to do something like this, because the skills that it takes to do everything are usually not found in one or two people. It's found in a group of people. So that's why it is difficult, it is hard, and it takes time. And even like the strategic plan for EOS, it needs to be understood in an easy way. I was reading through it tonight, and I was thinking to myself, how can I make this understandable for a lot of people? How can I put all these elements of what they talk about in their strategic plan in a quick, easy way for people to understand and get and see where they're going? And I looked at it for a while, and I just really couldn't. I even tried to pick out one or two things, three things to talk about, but it just wasn't something I feel comfortable with putting in understandable ways. Not only because that was technical stuff that they were talking about, but because I don't know that I could really do it in an understandable way, because I don't understand it. Like I said earlier in the video, there's a lot of things I don't understand, a lot of things I'm trying to get my mind around, and I'm still learning. I'm learning every day. I try to spend all my spare time trying to understand as much as I can understand. And I watch a lot of videos of people, and people that I know that are very, very good with this stuff, that have very good stuff up that read. Some of the greatest minds out there as far as this is concerned. I never watched a Dan Larimer tutorial, but I watched some people that are pretty good at this stuff, and they can give you a lot of information. And it's still hard for me to understand. It's still hard for anybody to understand. That's just the way it is. EOS needs to be understood more easily. It needs to be understood in a very untechnical way. If you can do that, you can make it more exciting for the retail investor, for the person out there that doesn't understand technical stuff and doesn't want to understand it or have time to understand it. Unless this is your field and you're studying this stuff all the time, you're not going to sit down and understand all the technical sides of the blockchain. It's just not going to be done. It's like when I was a young man and I was listening to Paul Knight talk about the technical side of the touch section of a computer screen. It went over my head. I wasn't going to understand it, and I wasn't going to convey it to my client. So, you had to have another way of talking to people about this stuff, another way of communicating with them, because they weren't going to understand an electrical engineer's PhD explanation of it. It just wasn't going to do that. I mean, a few people in the crowd probably got it, but not many. Not anybody I knew. And the people that did get it aren't the people that are going to go out and talk to the public about it. Those are not the people that get the PhD stuff. The people that get the PhD stuff are behind the computers. The people that are out pushing it in the public, pushing it to the people that are the investors. Those are the people that need it in very easy, understandable, bite-sized, quick ways. Understandable ways, like most people get. So anyway, EOS needs a better way of getting the message out. That's why I thought Brock Pierce is so important, and that's why I think they really missed Brock Pierce, because Brock Pierce could make this stuff more understandable for the overall community and the overall the individual out there, the ordinary person, like myself and like a lot of others. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.